Brooke Pryor, ESPN.com. She covers it's just ESPN. She covers the Pittsburgh Steelers. She's back from Ireland. She sent me absolutely gorgeous. I assume those were sunset pictures. I can't imagine you were up early enough to take a photo with the sky that color, but they were gorgeous. I hope you had a good time. I trust you did.
I did. It was amazing. I did not want to come back. And yes, that was at sunset. We were at a castle. I think it was Ross Castle in Clowney National Park. It was my mom and I rented a car and drove from Dublin to Killarney and all over the West Coast. And let me tell you, I was the one that did all the driving. I thought it was going to be a lot more difficult. It wasn't. And now my mom has created a monster. And now I think that I can drive anywhere in Europe, any country, say the one, like I'm there, because the steering wheel's on the opposite side. Yeah. I'm on the opposite side of the road. I did not get in an accident, knock on wood. I didn't even sideswipe anyone, despite my mom's numerous gasps and hitting her brake, her invisible brake. We were fine, and it was amazing.
I'd be terrified because we're conditioned to look like if you're going across the street, you're conditioned to look to the left first, but you got to look to the right first.
Exactly.
Right?
And let me tell you, I think it's more dangerous to be a pedestrian than to be a driver when you're trained to do the opposite. I still felt like I was going to get hit by a car constantly.
I would have a hard time. I would just stay in a pub.
I did that too.
Brooke Pryor is joining us. So before we get to the football aspect of this, and I don't want to take up all time with the travelogue, but Aaron Rodgers complained that he thought that they should have gone over early because, as he said, I really wanted to see Ireland. Did he not look at the schedule and know that there was an off week after?
That's what I'm saying. He also has pushed back and now said that he wasn't complaining about the Steelers trip specifically, but more that in his career he's played 3 international games, and every time it's a late in the week travel, leave Thursday night, right, get there Friday, have Saturday, Sunday. So he has been, since his initial airing of grievances, has tried to stress that this is not on the Steelers. But I haven't had a chance yet, but I plan to let him know that he should go back to Ireland because it was beautiful, and the Guinness does taste better over there.
He said that's like the motherland to him. He's got heritage. He could have just planned a trip during training camp like he did when he was with the Jets. Brooke Pryor is joining.
I'll suggest that to him.
Don't. But you know what? You could. He might chuckle if you brought that up to him. 3-1. And the Ravens are feeling some type of way. The opportunity that is in front of the Steelers right now is what?
I mean, it's theirs for the taking, but here's the thing that I keep thinking about. On paper, the Steelers should easily beat the Browns.
Right. Rookie
quarterback, injuries, you name it, trades, they should beat the Browns. However, the minute that the Steelers start thinking, wow, this division is ours, this is wide open. We have, we've dealt with attrition, things are going great, we've got the most steady quarterback situation, all this stuff. The second that they let themselves start thinking that is the second that everything falls apart. I think that Mike Tomlin and the Steelers are at the best when you should count them out, when they are counted out, when nobody expects them to make the playoffs and they have to make a late season run. They are at their best when they shouldn't be. So if I'm the Steelers, I am acting practicing playing everybody still thinks that they're going to finish third or last in the division. Otherwise, this could snowball really quickly against the Browns at home on Sunday, and then they go on the road to the Bengals on Thursday Night Football just a couple days later. So I think that they have to take these opponents seriously, and they can't play down to the level of their opponents or the level of their opponents with the injuries and the trades and the everything else that they've got going on.
Every team's got injuries. We're talking to Brooke Pryor here, covers the Steelers for ESPN, also covers just the NFL in general. So here's the thing about the Browns coming up this week, because I did get a chance to see some of the game against the Vikings that they just played in London. And I think the Browns' offense looks like it's got a little bit of extra zing with Dylan Gabriel than it ever did with Joe Flacco. And they're going to have to deal with Joe Flacco anyway because their next game, as you said, is in Cincinnati against the Bengals. This game, because of the Browns' defense, which is outstanding, this is going to be a difficult game, even though it's in Pittsburgh. Coming off a bye week, and I don't know if the Steelers historically are great after a bye week or not. I don't know. I'm not sure that necessarily matters. But this is an important game in these next 2 weeks because the 3 games after are Packers in Pittsburgh, Colts in Pittsburgh, and then a trip to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers, who have suddenly kind of gone sideways after a 3-0 start.
Exactly. I mean, they are in a really, I think, pivotal point in their schedule. And your point about the Browns' offense is a good one because Quinshad Judkins is part of this emerging run game that the Browns have. And the thing is, the Steelers have not been great against the run. They were better against the Vikings, and a lot of that's because Deshaun Elliott is back, one of my favorite guys to cover. And it just plays with a recklessness that makes him so good at stuffing the run. He's got this energy, this aggression. He's a great communicator. That, I think, is a huge boost. But the other part of the Browns offense that if I'm the Steelers, I'm concerned about is their tight ends usage. The Steelers have not been great covering tight ends. They just get mismatches. There's busts in the secondary. And they're not only using David Njoku, they're also using Harold Fannin Jr., someone that the Steelers really looked at in the draft. Arthur Smith was a big fan of him, so they are aware of his game. But the fact that the Browns don't use, traditional wide receiver sets, that they're feeding a lot to their running backs, to their tight ends, that can create some mismatches. So I think the Steelers have to be aware of that, especially because Jalen Ramsey's availability is in question. He had a hamstring injury against the Vikings, and he has not participated in practice so far. He's done some stretching, but if I'm the Steelers, I'm probably playing it safe with him and trying to save him and get him ready for the Thursday night game against Cincinnati instead of having him play 2 games with very little rest.
One quick thing about the NFL in Europe, since you were there, do you get the sense that there's a lot of people who come from the United States to go to a game in London or in Ireland, or is that about the locals taking in American football?
It's interesting because I was at an event with Roger Goodell, and I believe Goodell said it was either 75 or 90% that he said fans at these games were from the host country. I think that number was a lot lower in Ireland, just based on, I was out and about and talked to a lot of Steelers fans. My flight over was completely full. Obviously, not everybody was going to the game, but I think the Ireland Steelers game was different maybe than a lot of the international games because there's so many Steelers fans and they hadn't played an international game in a long time. But I do think a lot of it is for the local host countries fans. Because, if you're a U.S. fan, probably the majority of fans would rather have games in the States, games at their home stadium, because that's a pretty big expense to think about traveling overseas. It's one thing if you can combine it with a vacation, but if you're a season ticket holder, that could be one less game that you get out of your package, and instead it's a right to buy a game in another country and then travel, lodging, all of the above. So I think that it's to expand their markets and their reach more than it is about, giving fans a trip with a game to plan around.
Brooke Pryor joining us here on the Adam Gold Show from ESPN. All right, do you have a theory on why the Ravens, and we know now that Lamar Jackson is dealing with a hamstring injury, but they were playing poorly before the hamstring injury showed up. You have a theory?
I don't. It's kind of inexplicable. They have had a lot of injuries, but in some ways they're kind of like the Eagles. On paper, they bring back a lot of the same guys. They should be able to pick up somewhat where they left off a year ago. But the thing is, it almost feels like after they lost to the Bills in that epic season opener, that kind of just threw off their momentum and they haven't been able to recover. It seems like that was whatever the opposite, or not a it wasn't even like an emotional victory because they lost. It was just weird. Like that game, I felt like both teams won and we as the viewers won because it was so insane, but it kind of feels like that took the wind out of the Ravens' sails a little bit, and they haven't been able to get back on course since then.
Yeah, and it is amazing to see this. They are more than a touchdown underdog at home this week to the Rams. I thought
no respect for Cooper Rush, just no respect.
Apparently, the guys who make the line watched the game this past weekend.
I can't believe they would do that. That's so responsible of them.
Holy mackerel, he was bad. A team he used to cover, Kansas City Chiefs. I listened to a lot of people tell me, oh man, bet against the Chiefs at your own peril. And I'm not betting against them. Just pick against the Chiefs at your own peril. As soon as they get their receivers back, they're going to be fine. Look, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, that new guy, I forget his name, number 80. They've got receivers.
Tyquan Thornton.
Yeah, they've got receivers. Isaiah Pacheco, he's in the backfield. I know Jacksonville might be good. I have my doubts as to how good. That's a game the Chiefs could have won, and they didn't. And I think it's fair to wonder if that team isn't on the downside of its dominance.
I don't know that it's the downside of the dominance. I kind of think it's just football justice evening out because they had so many fluky wins in the last couple years. I mean, last season, it's kind of the inverse of this season, where last season they were worse than their record suggested. This year, I think they are better than their record suggested, but some of those close wins that broke their way last year are just breaking the other way this year. So it kind of feels like karmically it's evening out. But I do think that there's more parity in the league this year than there's ever been, at least during this Chiefs Super Bowl window. So that's catching up to them. There's more tape, obviously, of everyone that the Chiefs have. I think that Patrick Mahomes can still have these incredible drives and make plays that no one can stop. Like you can get all the tape in the world on the Chiefs. You're still not going to be able to figure out Patrick Mahomes because he's going to come up with something else. But I think that, defensively, these guys are getting older. Chris Jones is dealing with a lot emotionally. His aunt died a couple weeks ago. He didn't practice. He was at the funeral, came back right before the game, put the jersey on, didn't really get to warm up and came out there. Like, he's carrying a huge mental load, not only, of dealing with the emotions of his aunt dying, but also being the focal point of this Chiefs defense that really needed to add another quality pass rusher in the offseason, and they just haven't seen that come to fruition. So I'm not worried about the Chiefs. I will be if it goes a couple more weeks and they have a couple more losses. But at this point, I think that they're just, karma's, unfortunately, Travis Kelce knows about this. His fiance, Taylor Swift, has sung many a song about this. It just kind of feels like it's a karma situation, and it'll all come out in the wash.
Hopefully there will be no bad blood. All right, final thing for Brooke Pryor here, ESPN Steelers reporter. I will give you one NFL team to watch, not the Steelers. One team to watch. Doesn't make a difference who they're playing. Who is it?
The Bucks. Easy.
Ooh.
And I'm sorry, I know that we're in NFC South
No,
country,
it's fine.
but as someone who covered Baker Mayfield's career in college, I've kept tabs on him. We've kept in touch throughout his NFL career. To me, the Bucks are the hottest team in the league right now, and they maybe shouldn't be because they've had all these inexplicable fourth quarter wins, game-winning field goals. But like the cardiac crew, I think was a nickname that I saw. Baker Mayfield is always an entertainer. I talk trash to him at your own peril. It never works out well. Like there are few things that I enjoy more than seeing him have this resurgence, this renaissance. And I think the Bucks are a really fun team. I think they have really good receivers. I know their O-line's banged up, but they were here in Pittsburgh for a joint practice during training camp. And I remember thinking then, like, this team could be dangerous, and their vibes are good. Like, it sounds so trivial, but like vibes matter.
Yeah.
And no one is a vibe maker more than Baker Mayfield. I've had people describe him to me as a Pied Piper. Like, that's what he is. And so I would turn on a Bucs game, keep an eye on them. I think that they are the hottest team in the NFC at this point for sure.
Yeah, it should be a good game with San Francisco this week. Brooke Pryor at BE Pryor on Twitter. Appreciate your time. Welcome back to the United States. We will talk to you soon.
Thank you so much. I will remember to drive on the left going home.
Good luck.
Or on the right, whichever way.
I can't tell either. Thank you very much again.